The world's best rocket scientist isn't the world's best marine biologist. Just like the world's strongest man probably couldn't nail Swan Lake. Being a specialist means not being great at lots of other things. It takes dedicated focus. But that sort of focus is out of fashion. Today, everyone wants to be a generalist. Not at NetApp. We're proud to be specialists. We don't make laptops. You don't want us to create a TV show? Seriously. We can't do what our customers do. What we do is provide the most cutting-edge and remarkable cloud storage services on the planet, which might not make us a great DJ. But it does let us help you access your data in the right place at the right time. There's plenty of things we can't do, but we can connect your cloud to on-prem and have them get along like BFFs. BFFs that reduce costs and improve data availability, obviously. Cooking Michelin-star food? Sorry. Analyzing data to maximize your security and maintain compliance? Take a seat. Puppy training? No. Optimizing application performance in data centers and on the cloud? Good boy. It's all we think about. Unlocking more than you ever thought possible from your cloud. So when you're thinking about cloud storage, why just be in good hands? When you can be in the mother flippin' specialist's hands. The cloud storage specialists. NetApp.
Good morning. I hope you're doing all okay. We are back at the TIE B2B Sales Academy. This is the episode 4. We've been doing it for the last 3 weeks on a weekly cadence. And it's great to see that we have nearly 3,000 registrations. And I'm so happy to see now we have 500 people on Discord, the community that we set up. And there's some healthy discussion happening on Discord. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about account management and partner sales. And if you see the result from last time, can we go back one slide, please? Yes, thank you. So most of you said that you're doing channel partner sales, but a lot of people, 40% people said that we have no partnerships. And hopefully our content will focus on how you can set up partners. In fact, when I started looking at Discord, there was a very nice comment that some people try to promote their partnerships on social media and nobody responded. And I started wondering, as humans, we've had models for finding life partners forever, right? Including my own native place used to have a kind of a mela or a village festival where people would get together to find brides and grooms. But why don't we have a business partner discovery platform? So maybe there's some opportunity for some entrepreneurs out there to go and create a partnership discovery portal. So the episode today, let's thank our sponsors very quickly. And the sponsors for the series are Sequoia, as you already know. And the sponsor for this particular episode is NetApp. But more than just money, NetApp has been hugely contributing by sending one of their executives to help us structure these whole designs. So thank you so much, NetApp. And with that, let me hand it over to the NetApp team. Madhurima, thanks for being such a strong participant as a core team, and please take it away.
Thank you, Arvind. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm all the more pleased to share that today we have with us Daisy Chittilapalli. She's the Managing Director of the Digital Transformation Office of Cisco India and SARC. Words will not do justice to Daisy's profile, but let me give it a try. So Daisy leads the Digital Transformation Office for Cisco India and SARC. In her current role, she drives Cisco's digital transformation agenda, aligning Cisco's offerings and ecosystems to emerging opportunities in digital. In a previous role, Daisy led the Cisco India and SARC partner organization to incredible success by building new ecosystems and programs that help Cisco and partners grow profitably, resulting in Cisco India having one of the best channel partner programs in the industry. Not just this, in 2014, Daisy featured in the DataQuest list of top 20 women in Indian IT. And more recently, Business Today called her out in their list of most powerful women in Indian business. Daisy, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you for that generous introduction, Madhurima.
So Daisy, as we saw in the poll, right, a lot of people are interested about partner sales, channel sales, and all. And as we know, the business environment is changing. New ways of working are emerging, and it is imperative for us to take a relook at our sales strategy, especially in the B2B world. I would like to invite you to share with us some of the insights from your experience. And with that, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Madhurima. I think it's very appropriate to ask the question that we ask at the beginning of every meeting. Can you see my slide? Right. So I hope
Yes, we can.
I hope my deck is visible. So I want to thank TIE for this opportunity, and very opportune to have a platform like this, which helps all of us to get a sense of what we have to be prepared for, to gauge the depth of our readiness, maybe to gain some insights and take back with us as we all prepare to come back, in this phase that we're calling the new normal, and as we prepare to bounce back to growth. These are all cliched phases, but essentially, when COVID is well and truly behind us, how will we go back to doing the things that we are very good at doing? That's really the concern for all of us today, big or small. Doesn't matter how long you've been in business or in what area of business or what sector of industry we all operate in. But it's also a good time to think about, from a broader perspective, it's also an opportunity to reimagine India's future in terms of sustainability and growth, not just from an environmental point of view, but also in the way that all of us will live, work, create, build, connect. All of those issues are up in the, everything that we knew in the world as it is up for debate. And I think Arvind used the word discord. Discord has, I hope by the word discord, Arvind, you meant debate and coming out more informed on the other side. So thank you very much again for having me here. And a quick look at what all of us have been going through for the last few months, right? All of us have faced this to some degree, but yes, the degree of pain is different from industry to industry. If you look at travel and tourism, on the one end of the spectrum is travel and tourism, which is set to face a loss of almost $65 billion, no small change. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have companies which are doing their best numbers ever, whether that's e-commerce, whether that is OTT players, telecom players, and so on. So a little bit of a, I think a very up and down and topsy-turvy curve, depending on which sector you're sitting in. But some trends are common to everybody. And I think the first one clearly is how all our business continuity plans were not worth the paper they were written in, mostly, right? I'm not saying all, but mostly business continuity plans need a big rejig. That's the first realization in the post the pandemic, and as we go through the pandemic also. The second one thing that all companies have democratically had to deal with is drastic liquidity crunches, lending issues, because of decreased consumption and because of reduced and diminished customer sentiment. And of course, supply chains have got disrupted all over the world, almost in every industry as well. So as and then there are all of these new, what we are calling the new normal is really not the disruptions that have happened during the pandemic, but the behaviors or habits, the new rules, that will shape the way that we do business and we live our lives, which is being called the new normal, which will have an impact well beyond the days of the pandemic. So some things we have to prepare for are here to stay, right? We are definitely more conscious about our health and hygiene. We are certainly learned to be more independent. I think the Prime Minister even brought out a formal program, self-reliant, but I think you can use that word to describe our own response to the pandemic. But on the other end, we've certainly become more digitally dependent. So the world post-COVID is likely going to be one where a person who is oriented like this, very high concerns about hygiene, very high concerns about health, very high, has discovered the joy of being independent and discovered the joy of being a digital consumer, increasingly going to anchor a lot of their activities, work and others from the confines of their primary activity center, which is home. And that does pose questions for all of us in whichever business we do. And this behavior is not limited to the online world, because it is also going to extend in the physical world. You're already talking about concert arenas which are socially distancing, factories which have gone back to the drawing board in order to redesign workstations which are socially distanced. We are already hearing about contactless restaurants, pubs, bars, coffee shops, where you place the order, pay on an app, pick up your order without ever coming into contact with a human being. All of these, I'm not making any assumptions that we are going to swing to the other end of the spectrum, but both in the online world are new behaviors, the new rules of doing things, and the new ways of doing things will certainly inform every business, whether that plays in the physical world or that plays in the digital world. So as I think, as I was thinking about what can businesses do, big or small, young or old, what can businesses do? I ended up going back to my travel experiences, and perhaps because I'm deeply missing my travel experiences at this time. But even if you're not a travel buff, and even if you've just watched adventures, sitcoms, or movies on television, all of us have walked away with those with some very valuable lessons, right? So I said, as I was thinking through this, and as I was thinking through this conversation, I said, why don't we just look at this problem and break this problem into, sort of like a survivor model, 3 ultimate adventures, right? And maybe that's a more fun and creative way to look at this, rather than be despondent. Rather than be despaired and looking at a issue and a problem, just looking at through the lens of an issue and a problem. Why not look at it in the form of an adventure, and probably the greatest adventures of our lifetime? Bring that thinking to this problem. So the first ultimate adventure is really about traversing the sea of change. And if you love the ocean, and even if you don't, all of us know that resisting the waves of the ocean is probably not the smartest thing to do. It's much easier to get to where you want to go if you just go with the ebb and the flow. So clearly, given the business environment we all of us find ourselves in the short term, there will be a necessity to divest in things that don't matter as much now. But this whole ability to, this whole technique of reducing cost and conserving cash is very much a short-term strategy. And one must be wary of pulling the plug on investments in innovation, in technology, in talent, in partnerships that can probably help our businesses to bounce back to growth in the shortest possible time. It's also important to keep invested and stay invested in creating new products, new services, and business models that will serve us better in what is certainly going to be a more low-touch and contactless world. So, that I think is going to be the number one call out, that we cannot live in a utopian world and negate the realities of the short-term constraints that we find ourselves in. The second ultimate adventure is really about crossing the chasm or crossing the divide. The pandemic has certainly created a divide for most companies, and I'm sure all of you have experienced this to some degree or the other. There are gaps in anticipating the needs of a consumer, of a newly digital consumer. Many consumers are also buying digitally for the first time, so posing a particular problem. Even if you do anticipate the needs, there are gaps in being able to reach out to them. There are gaps in the ability of our own people to maneuver seamlessly from the physical world to the digital world, or vice versa. And, just yesterday, I was talking to a senior exec of a tech advisory and market research firm, and he was telling me about his uncle, who was running a very successful SMB for the last 25 years and has now shut shop. The gap between the biggest call out here is what the pandemic has really thrown into the limelight is the need to seamlessly integrate the physical and the digital worlds at the fastest possible pace that you can do it. And of course, digital technologies can help, and there is of course a need to do other things like reskilling our people. There is a need to upgrade our infrastructure, not just company infrastructure, but generic infrastructure in the country in terms of telecom and connectivity and others. There are certainly in some cases policy and regulatory changes that are required. And of course, all of these needs to be addressed. So when you look at this problem, it really looks like the complexity and the magnitude of this problem is so intense that it makes us wonder whether we will ever scale any new heights or we will conquer any new heights. And coming from Cisco, where 85% of our global business is done through the channel, and 95% plus of the business in India is done through the channel, I will very strongly advocate, particularly at this time, the power of partnerships to help us tide over the crisis and then to come out on top and scale new heights. Good partners bring very, very complementary skills, usually skills that you are not good at and you're probably never going to be great at. They challenge you to rethink your business and your business models. And they usually have the ambition, if you find the right culture fit, they usually are all in and they have the right ambition along with you to go into uncharted territories, to go into newer spaces and to help you weather tough climates and scale new heights. For this group, perhaps talking about technology, and especially after having gone through 5 or 6 months of COVID, now month 7 or 8 of COVID, seems an unnecessary, because most businesses at TIE are, I'm making an assumption, are digitally savvy to some extent or the other. But the clear writing on the wall about a couple of months into the lockdown was that companies that were technologically savvy and digitally savvy did a much better job of making this transition and keeping lights on and continuing to keep their people safe and keeping their businesses productive than companies who were not in that same space. So, this was not always true in our world. And I want to go back to the last big crisis that perhaps all of us have some familiarity with, which is the 2008-2009 financial crisis. At that time, technology could not have solved the problem. But for the nature of this disruption, for the nature of the disruption that the pandemic has caused, technology can certainly play a role in our ability to handle any part of our business, right? Whether it's the hurdles of going low touch, reaching, like I said, a consumer base that is operating from home digitally, whether it is our ability to, do virtual meetings or digitalize much of our operations, etc., whether it is our ability to serve customers and give them the same experience in the digital and physical worlds seamlessly, whether it is, creating new life cycle revenue streams for companies, or whether it is managing your people, getting people on the table, etc. There is space for technology to play in all of these spaces. One of the things that technology has also done, and this virtual way of working has certainly done, is also flattening, making Thomas Friedman's flat world come to life more than ever. It is an opportunity and a disruption, because your market is now not just your city, not just your state, not just your country, but anywhere else. And similarly, your talent pool can also come from anywhere else. And the reverse is also true. Anyone can come for your talent and your marketplace as well. So always, as happens with these things, every disruption is both an opportunity and a challenge. I prefer to look in India, with a very young population, with the kind of technology skills we have, it's good for us to look at it as very much as an opportunity. To the power of how the pandemic has opened up buying in rural areas. You probably, when you look at Cisco, you think of Cisco as a behemoth that sells to large enterprises. But during the pandemic, we thought perhaps we did it more as an experiment when we started. So we put out our collaboration software, WebEx, online. And in the first month, for the first 90 days, the trial was free, and 4 million people have downloaded it to date. And from July, when our online portal went online, in the first month, the first 1,000 customers came to us from 65% came to us from SMB, and another 20% came to us from individuals who bought us. But more interesting than that was that they came from 108 places in India, which is well beyond the metros and the tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 cities of India. And this is not a geography profile that Cisco had before the pandemic. And that promise of the market is there for all of you, as long as you can make your products and services available and consumable, available, consumable, and affordable in the Indian market. So in closing, I just want to close my opening comments by saying that, Winston Churchill actually put this, coined this as he usually does. He has a very good way with words. Never let a good crisis go to waste. And there is always an opportunity, like in disruption lies opportunity. And that is the best approach to this problem. I give you two examples. I mean, I've talked through all of these points in my previous slides, but here's the two examples that are right in front of your eyes. Spotify, who depended on ad revenue for serving all of us free music, but quickly decided that ad revenue is drying up, so let me just get paid podcasts as an alternate source of revenue. Or Airbnb, which clearly we should have thought should have shut shop and ceased to exist as a business. If you look at what Airbnb is doing now, they're doing live events like meditation classes, cooking classes, etc., etc. So creativity is certainly a piece of reimagining your business, and the other things are pretty much about being pragmatic and being just about being pragmatic and doing what you've always done very well. But being inactive is certainly not the advocated course of action. The best in the business are all putting out enough advice. So, TIE is one platform, but personally, there has never been a dearth of advice that previously we would have had to pay for, but advice that is out there from people that have really done this before, right? Built businesses, reinvented their businesses, and keep on proving that every disruption, who keep disrupting themselves from the inside, who keep taking risks, and who scale newer heights through collaborations with people who are like-minded. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention today.
Thanks, Daisy. We've got a lot of questions coming in, and if you can give us a bit more time,
Sure.
I'll go ahead with those. Thanks.
Sure.
So the first question is from Karamveer Singh Rajpal. Can we deploy any channel partner to work with B2G segment? And if yes, then how can this be feasibly achieved?
Of course. I mean, I can give my own experience, and I know that Shiv and Shiladitya are, here as well. But the government, I mean, if I get the question correct, it is business to government, right? That is the question.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, if I have to talk about Cisco's own experience, we have a very big government practice in the country. Like I said, we are also 95% plus revenue in India comes through channel partners. So as you can imagine, and in public sector, which is government, 100% of our business is done through the channel. So I don't understand what is the complexity in that question, because if you have a channel, you will build that channel to serve a particular, you can have channel partners who specialize in certain sectors and verticals. That's called market access. You recruit partners. If I have to give you an example, we recruit partners who have access to that particular market, to that particular region, to that particular city. So that's one way to do it. But we also have large partners who are equally strong in public sector and financial services and manufacturing and everything. So I don't know what your product or service particularly is, but there is no constraint either from the government side or in terms of any business rules in the country, because of which you cannot transact or cannot work with a partner jointly in government. Cisco also does a lot of early stage pilots in conjunction with ecosystem partners, startup accelerator partners, and so on.
Thanks, Daisy. We have the next question. What do you suggest exclusive channel partner for region or multiple partners fighting for clients. And the context to that is we had faced sudden exit of partner in region to competitor with big accounts in exclusive dealership.
Yeah. So, so Karamveer is asking a similar question as well, right? He's saying that the reason he asked me that question is because he finds partners switching loyalty. They take all our intelligence and then go bid with somebody else. Karamveer, I wish I could tell you that Cisco is somehow in a bubble by itself. No, the answer is no. And that's why in my previous conversation, I said, if you find the partner with the right culture fit, right? So I have to be honest, this is maturity of the business in the country and maturity of business ethics in the country. Okay, that is very much the answer to the question you're asking. I wish I could. I mean, it's not my style to shy away from the question you're asking, right? So you have to find. Let me give you our own example. We have to keep evaluating partners for their culture fitment to the company, to how much they are all in with you, right? They are like an extension, a true extension of you, as in they're a separate company, they have their own careabouts, but they are like very much like an extension of you. They are in it with you for the long term, so the partnership is strategic in fashion. You will have partnerships that are tactical in nature, but they will die. As the erstwhile channel leader for India for more than 3 years, managing almost 2,500 partners, you will have partners whose family details you will know, everything you will know. You will have partners who have come back with you 25 years in India. We've had partners also for 25 years in India. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you will have partners who are onesies and twosies, who will only do one transaction and vanish from your landscape forever. So you have to make the Pareto rule applies, right? 20% of the partners that you have to really put your focus on and put all your energies on, because you live and die with them and they live and die with you. And then there will be 80%, which are all kinds of mix and match. And you have to keep doing this evaluation from time to time. Because a partner works with you doesn't mean that their strategic alignment with you stays the same, right? So it's not the same. So bet on a few that have the same culture fit, have the same ambition as you, but for everyone else, you engage as tactically as they engage.
Daisy, if I may add here, hi. So one of the points is that, like you have client lifecycle management, you have also a partner lifecycle management. So, and again, sometimes it's not because the partner is badly intentioned or whatever, right? It might be just that in your business cycle and their business cycle, there may be some parts where you come together and some parts it's best to part, right? And that's a continuous engagement and a continuous evaluation of the relationship, like any other relationships, right? So that's the only piece I'll add there.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I don't usually do this, but they're very specific. If you're looking at a startup and I'm coming from the startup process, it's very clear. Partner is going to give you market access, right? And
that is right.
Customer success is your responsibility, and you cannot hand over customer response and the support functions over to a partner, right? So the relationship that you're going to drive as part of your customer success has to be owned by you, either the founder or the startup itself. Sorry, quick update.
Thanks. And I think this topic is so close to all our hearts that we really are passionate about sharing, what we see. So, and it's interesting to see that we have a comment from Jairam who says that we are a channel partner ourselves. And he's bringing in the other side view that we have had OEM principal who use us and switch after 1 to 2 years. And he thinks that it works both ways. So great insight.
Yeah, I agree.
So Daisy, I think we have lots of questions that are coming in. I'll take one last question, which is from Dhrumil. How to get visibility in a partner's funnel? And is it really important to understand what are the challenges coming up for them? And I think this ties in beautifully where you talked about your strategic partners and transactional partners. Anything you'd like to share here, Daisy?
Yeah, I think, as a company that decides to go on a very active partner-led model, you're balancing two things always, right? On the one side, when everything is said and done, what you're doing for the partner is really, when the investments you make in partner management through the life cycle is all about training enablement, then it is about motivation and incentives, right? That's broadly in that category. That's you're obviously bringing your capabilities, whether in Cisco's case, you're bringing best in breed, best in class, globally acknowledged technology. So there's enablement you bring to them, you're giving them access to all your capabilities. And then of course you have motivation, which is mostly in the form of incentives. So that's what your investment in a channel is if you strip away everything else. And the way the channel is looking at you, and to this question, is the channel is always putting you through this. It doesn't matter whether it's Cisco or whether it is a startup. The channel is putting you through a filter. The filter is very clear. Are you creating relevance for them in the markets that they serve, right? Are you going to help them bump their growth, help them be profitable, and help them be a sustainable business? So they are always going, you can be the best in breed and best at what you do. But if you don't answer these questions on creating relevance for them in their markets, making them more sustainable, profitable, and delivering sustainable and profitable growth for them, you can do any amount of enablement, training, etc., but you won't land. But if you answer these questions, and you answer these questions with whoever it is, either a business or a proprietor owned partner, you will find they will pull you. You don't have to push them. They will pull you in, you don't have to push them.
Thanks, Daisy. And I think that also answers Sujay Rao's question, which was exactly on this. I would love to spend more time, but given that we are constrained by the clock. Daisy, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I absolutely loved the examples that you shared with us. Instead of pulling the plug, we should look at plugging the gap. And the takeaways that the audience today would have, it is, COVID-19 is one of the greatest adventures of our times. Take it like that. And instead of resisting the waves of the ocean, let's ride on it and reach new heights. So thank you, Daisy, one more time. Thanks so much. And I would invite you to be on the Discord channel. And if people have more queries, they'd love to interact with you there. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity, Madhurima, and to Ty as well.
Thanks. And with that, before we move into the next segment, we'd love to hear from our audience. Can we have the first poll, please? Okay, if we can just take a few seconds. All right, if we have results, do you want to show them? Okay, so commissions on targets and accelerators on overachievement. That wins, and then there is fixed compensation and base commission. So great, thanks for this. We'd love to hear more from you. So if we can have one more poll before we get into the next segment. And if you can take a few seconds to share with us what you do. Okay, if we want to show the results. So 10 to 30% wins, but there's so above 10% is a fairly good number. So with that, I think it's a great segue into our next segment, where we have with us Shiv and Shiladitya. And coming back, Manoj Poddar had asked a question about if we can have more insights which is tailored to SMBs, and I think this is where we'll try and get your answers. So allow me to introduce Shiv and Shiladitya. So Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay is the general manager at CleverTap, and he's a consumer web and mobile technology enthusiast, first generation entrepreneur close to our hearts who loves being a part of creative and challenging projects with like-minded partners. Shiladitya is looking at building the best products of tomorrow that can better human experiences with technology. He specializes in business development, mobile applications, software project management, product management, and automation systems integration. Welcome, Shiladitya. It's a pleasure to have you here. And we also have with us Shiv. You had a chance to hear Shiv briefly before. Shiv is the senior technology management professional with about 30 years of experience in management consulting, technology startups, and technology corporations. He is a global partner director at Refinitiv Asia Private Limited. Shiv has held several leadership roles in technology organizations and startups, and his consulting background is particularly in the supply chain management, strategy and financial supply chain, and risk management. He has startup experience in EdTech, FinTech, and technology. Shiv and Shiladitya, it's a pleasure to have you join us today.
Thank you for having me.
So if I may, I'm going to use the next 30 odd minutes to have some questions for you, and then we'll have some time for audience questions. Does that work well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me begin by asking you, Shiv. We heard from Daisy that we are seeing a lot of changes with COVID-19. So what are some of the changes that you are seeing in the market, and how has that changed your strategy in engaging with the market? And I would love if you can bring in, the mid-size business flavor to it, because I know you don't want to call yourself a large enterprise. So if you can share something.
Sure. Thank you. First, thanks for having me in this program. Now, definitely COVID-19 has changed, and it changed all our lives. I think Daisy has laid it out very beautifully. Simple things from working from home, which I'm doing right now, as well as a company, an organization like us, which has 16,000 employees globally. We are literally 120 people who are working on premise. The rest of the organization, whatever that number is working from home, right? And in this period, we have actually tripled our volumes of transactions that are going into the platform, right? So essentially our company, for those who don't know, we actually do provide information and content to most of the financial institutions. We are one of the top 2 financial content providers, us and Bloomberg, right? And so what has also triggered this is that more and more you need to learn to work both with our customers as well as with our partners, and also I think what Daisy earlier talked about, which is market access through people who have market access locally. We can't be everywhere, right? Earlier, literally a lot of our guys used to take up a flight and go and meet people, which is completely gone out of the window now. So we are actually leveraging partners even much more than we 5-6 months ago. In fact, we have grown our partner business also in a much higher percentage than our normal business. And we have also grown number of partners. We are actually actively looking for partners in various whether geographies, market segments, or even solution sets, because again, what we could offer standalone is no more valuable. A lot of customers are asking us for a much more integrated approach, in which case we need to, again, fall back on partners. And similarly, delivering solutions, which we could do standalone, we are again leveraging partners. So it's significantly changed. Yeah, our world has changed.
Thanks, Shiv. Shiladitya, what are some of the changes that you are seeing with respect to partnership-driven sales?
So I completely, concur with what Shiv just said, right? We are also, just to give a little background, we are also a SaaS platform. We cater to businesses who are digital businesses worldwide. And our de facto sort of enterprise sales motion was to sort of just, exactly what Shiv said, like take a flight, go meet all of our large customers or large prospects, wherever they are, right, globally. And we have teams we have some small satellite teams spread out in various locations where we operate out of. But over the last 6 months, what's like instantly changed is like our entire workforce. We are actually 250 plus sort of a team globally, and we are now entirely work from home. We've taken one of the stronger approaches like every other sort of value-based startup has, and moved entirely to work from home. So we are all doing sales through calls like these, and we are over relying on our partner and channel network. And one of the things that's significantly changed for us is, while even for our channel and even for our partner channels, we used to have a lot of in-person trainings. We used to have a lot of joint sessions where we used to go along with partners as product experts, right? Product experts from our team, instead of just the sales frontline, used to join our partner channel when they used to pitch in meetings. We're a very technology centered product. It requires a certain amount of product knowledge and training to actually complete your sale. So that is now what we have to do remote, not just for end customers who we deal with directly, of course, but also for our channels. So there's a huge impetus on additional trainings for the channel partners, additional documentation, a lot more hand-holding and prep, and in fact, to the extent of even certification for channel partners, right? We've had to create a lot more knowledge base of how you get adapted to sell the product, to sell CleverTap in general. So that's been the additional capacity we've had to sort of create to move to a much more heavier partner relied sales process.
So I heard both of you, and also Daisy had mentioned earlier about we're all missing travel. But I think, we are not missing spending on travel. That's some money saved that, we can deploy towards doing the additional things that we are doing. So yes, that's the silver lining to the cloud. Now, before we delve further into, how do we work with channel partners in this, if you all can share with the audience here, how do you even go about setting up a channel partner network, or how do you go about doing these things for those who are just starting out? Shiv, do you work with extensively with smaller companies, right? Do you want to share how you went about this?
Sure. So just again, I'll touch a couple of minutes on how, as a company, we have also evolved, right? We were essentially a company which was selling what we called as desktops. Is it typically like a terminal, like a Bloomberg or a Refinitiv terminal, right? Refinitiv terminal is the old Reuters terminal. It's now called Icon, right? But our business fundamentally started changing towards people are not our, the eyeballs were not our end customer, right? We started moving towards more and more towards feeds that goes into other machines that power systems, right? For example, in trading, people used to make decisions based on trading systems, right? By eyeballing, but that's changed. Now it's done by machines. So all this triggered us to move towards a partnership model, right? And the way we go about appointing these partners is one, of course, there are, like Daisy mentioned, there are some very large partners who may bring us 80% of our revenue. But then there are also the other 20 to 30%, which is again changing, is where we look for small fintech companies, SME companies who can give access to us into very, very specific segments. Again, we have the problem of large organizations. Sometimes we can deal with large ticket sizes, but sometimes there are many segments where there are small SME companies or medium-sized companies or even governments where we need access through a partner, right? A partner can buy wholesale from us and they can serve that segment with very high touch in a very small way. So for me, the criteria of looking for partners, either they have ability to give us that kind of an access into a segment or a government or a geography where we are not active, or number two, they could bring in skills and solutions which, in the case of fintech, we don't have, but where they can leverage our content set, our network, right? And our brand. So that's our second sort of criteria. And the third, I would say, and again, the size is no more an issue, right? Because today we are entering into our clients through this kind of platform, through an online platform. And similarly, I'm bringing partners into our network. So even this morning, earlier, I had a partner present to our entire global workforce, at least Asia and Europe workforce, where they are able to, they are not a very big shop, right? They are maybe 20, 30 people, but they have real deep expertise. But then that is something in the pre-COVID world would have been difficult, because then you look at size, branding and all that. But today, if there are experts on the other side of with a partner, even with a handful of them, they get access to a much larger organization like us and to our customers. So I would say those are some of the key criteria how I look for partners. And then how we partner with them, again, I can discuss that later, but those are some of the important criteria how we look for partnerships.
Yeah. I want to add to that. Yeah. The same sort of framework, right? For us to choose partners, again, being a, like Shiv mentioned, they're a content company. We are very much a product and tech company, right? So for us, it's very important to look for partners who are complementary to our own core skill set or our own core capabilities, right? Beyond obviously the other facets like market access where we are not present. A lot of times we've expanded to markets which we didn't think we would go to, which have very interesting nuances of, let's say, language and adapting our product materials or our tech platform itself to the local language, right? We've opened up in LATAM. We've obviously expanded further in Southeast Asia. And there are certain places where you can actually do a lot more only if you have a local partner who is able to sort of do your last mile translation. So we need that complementary skill set of something which we don't have natively to choose the right partner always. And I think that's been that's been an accelerated motion on the last 6 months, that let us get into things which were not on our own roadmap because we thought we'll have to develop the skill set in-house and then go out there. We've sort of taken the plunge or, the leap of faith to sort of accelerate that and say, you know what, let's try this out with a partner who is willing and available because now is the better time as any.
Yeah, thanks, Shiv and Shiladitya. Very interesting, how you work with partners even overseas. And I'm going to just ask an audience question here. This is a question that we've had from Arav Maheshwari and Deepak Gupta about, how do you even find a partner in the overseas market when you don't have an in-person reach? So, if you can share with us some tips, tricks, or, strategies that help you even find or locate that partner.
Sure. So some of my partners are actually people either coming, there are many ways, but I would say some of them come from our customers themselves, right? They may be working with somebody or they come and tell us, hey, I found this company. Would you guys be able to work with them? That's one method. The second is forums like this, right? Where where there are fintech forums, there are government hosted forums, there are, even our customers themselves have forums for like hackathons and others, where we find very, very interesting solutions of companies whom we think we should partner with, right? And the third is, of course, our sales teams themselves. They come back and say, you know what, if we were to work with this company, there could be something we can take uniquely to the market. And of course, the channel like where people register or, go to our portals and register, that's another channel, right? So I would say these are primary sources where we get our sourcing, but then there are other methods which randomly happen, right? Yeah,
I pretty much the same. One of the things I can add to is obviously beyond the inbound, approach that we have, that we get, where obviously people who we work with, people who have seen our product or people who have landed on our, because of our marketing, our product marketing in itself, reached out to us to, let's see a product demo or talk to us about a potential partnership that they have with an existing customer in their region. So that's the inbound interest, but something which we proactively do, just to add to what Shiv said, is something we proactively do is also for any region we are not in, or for any vertical we are not in, right? We look at, let's say, what is our target, what is our ideal customer profile, right? When I say ideal customer profile, for me as a retention platform for CleverTap, we look at, okay, what are the top mobile apps in a certain region who are either with our competition or either with, who are potential customers for us. And we look at what are their disclosed partnerships, because they also have, like, a lot large companies have partners who they work with either for various services, right? It could be like infrastructure services, whether they are on AWS, whether they are on, a portfolio like we have Sequoia here, whether they're part of the VC portfolio we share. So we look at all our common or associated sort of partner services which our prospects are using. And we look and we understand that for this region, if the top prospects in that region are using these partners, they are viable partners for us to sort of expand into that region with. And then we go through that channel. So we leverage our VC network, we leverage our infra, like I said, AWS and all of these sort of platform networks to also expand into these regions and choose the right partners.
Yeah, and if I may add here, right, we earlier had discussions about how competition is luring away your partners. Nothing stops you from doing the same. So see who your competitor is using, and maybe if that works for you, try that out.
Usually they reach out. Usually they reach out themselves. They realize that if I have one partner, why can't I have two? So it's all fair.
All right. So okay, so let's look at this journey of building a strong partner network. We talked about how do you even find this partner network, but even before that, right? For some of us who don't have a partner network in place right now, what do you think is the right time to start thinking about setting up a partner-led network?
I think if you have a market offer which is quite ready and you've tested it with your customer, and then you're really starting to think about how do I scale what I've got, right? If you've tested something, it works, it's quite self-contained, it is ready to be taken to market. Now, most startups end up with the same question, right? How do I make this available to many people? How do I reach as many customers? And one of the key areas is going through partnerships. You start saying, okay, if I need to address, or if you say, okay, my market entry strategy or my segment entry strategy may even be a different segment. If you're clear about that, then you would say, how do I go about it? And what is the easiest method? One of the easier methods is when you work through some partnerships, because they are there with you. They also they bring down the cost of entry into a market. They may also bring other complementary solutions which you would not have thought of, right? And there are many times I've worked with partners with an idea that they will give me market access, but it ends up, I may end up taking a lot of their services, right? So it could end up being a very, very interesting structure, right? You start out, that's some of the ways I would approach.
Shiladitya, when did you start thinking about building a partner-led network?
So for us, again, right, given that we are in a business which is a core technology business, right? We're a product company. Our product is always evolving. We are SaaS. So there is a lot of technical know-how that you really need to be able to sell the product effectively. And for the longest time, we always thought that, we will be centrally, like we'll sell directly, we'll be direct in all of our markets. Whenever we go there, like I was sharing earlier, we was thinking of, expanding into individual markets with direct salespeople or satellite teams, simply because we weren't sure if the channel would be able to adopt us. And in hindsight, in our earlier years, I think it's good that we didn't do that, because we realized that there was such a large adoption curve for being a heavy tech company for our partners, that they were doing nothing more than opening doors. It was more BD partnership than it was channel sales, as you would expect it to be. But as we evolved our product and we realized that, I mean, we can't do without channel sales purely from an expansion point of view. We focused more on making our technology itself a little more consumable, referring back to the knowledge-based pieces that I shared, that when you can easily train someone, let's say through over a few hours of training or orientation, or provide easy testing and certification. If you're a product-led company, that's the time you have to sort of look at channel sales, not earlier. Earlier might be a little too, it might guide your roadmap more if you are too early in the channel, because then you're dependent on the sales from the channel to sort of build your product. If you don't have a product, as a product company, if you're not ready with your product and are strong with your sort of core product, you can't really go out to the channel partner sales. So I think that's a call you have to take depending on what kind of company you are and what your sort of rate of growth is. But definitely make sure that you guide the channel and the channel doesn't guide you.
Thanks. I think, yeah, please Shiv, go on.
If I just add, okay, again, it may be a slightly larger company issue, maybe not the SME issue, but for us, partnership has become sort of in the DNA of our company, right? So when I say that, even when we had to start building a product, one of the things earlier used to be, do we build or do we buy? But now more and more, they're asking, do we partner or do we buy or do we build, right? So the partner comes even prior to building or buying, right? Which means even at the core, we are, and that's something I'm involved very heavily. I come from more of the proposition strategic partnership side, which means I'm in the product team, where I look at whether to address a specific problem or a new type of segment. Do I build all the time? Because we don't have time to build all our products, right? Or is it easy just to find another partner who's built something and we co-build with them, co-create stuff, right? And so the whole range of partnership has changed, right? From the front end, which is touching the market, but all the way to the core of the business, which is right at the back, right? Where you build products.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So the audience, if you are thinking about building a partner network, what Shiladitya and Shiv just shared with us, think about it if it's the right time. Sometimes you want to think about it when you have attained a certain scale, but as Shiv said, sometimes you even might want to think about it before. But the key is don't let the channel lead you. It should be you who's the leader and in the driving seat. Great. So we have a question from Manoj Kumar, right? And we talked about channel partners for products. He's asking, what is the difference in signing the channel partners for product and services? And I think that's very relevant because we do have a lot of, companies in the audience who might be in the service sector. Any of you might want to take this question.
So maybe I'll start. In our case, we definitely look for service partners, right? Service partners are partners who either deliver our solutions. We don't, and we have many of them, ranging from the top tier Accenture type names to very small companies who do very specific, engagements with us, right? And then there are also what we don't typically call them partners, but whenever we need some services for us to build or to do support, we actually outsource that. Typically, I move them to my colleagues from the supplier management team, right? Because they end up being suppliers. So some of my partners are also suppliers to our company, right? So that's the other part of it, right? But definitely looking for, if you're a service-oriented company, your partnership may be very different from a product-oriented. We are a very product-oriented company. So I'm looking for people who can co-create products with me and also who can help me in delivering my solutions. So I also look for service partners. But if you're a service-oriented company, I guess you probably need to look either for other product companies whom you can deliver service with. That's I'm speaking very centric from my area, right? And or I don't know whether there is a even position if your service is very unique and you're very specialized. Maybe then you can be part of another service company's network. That's probably where I'll stop. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add to that. So very distinct sort of roadmaps, right? If you're a product company, you're looking for more people who can expand your product and its reach. It's simply that, and that's sort of what we are. We look at partners who can, like take our product to places we can't go, or take our product to kinds of customers we can't go because there are more expectations. So they're usually partners who are services partners, like companies who provide services. Either it's integration services, or it's support services, like she mentioned, or it's implementation services, customizations, and so on, which are all outside our core product and offerings, right? As a SaaS, we are also a service, but we are after all a product company. But then there are also we have a small level of partnership which we call technology partners, and those are other product companies who build sort of integrated solutions with us. And those are, that's on a very different level. Those are partnerships my engineering team leads rather than my sales team, right? Because the engineering team sees that, okay, if I co-create my product roadmap along with this other companies, and again, I can name like typical players like AWS or various other such ecosystem players, right? That we work with. These are the guys who we sort of align with from an engineering standpoint and build our product alongside theirs, because they're just popular products used by our industry. So you have to choose again where you fit in, right? You're a piece in the large machine of this channel. So you have to decide what's the focus area you are in, what services you offer, and choose to sort of reach out on both sides. So whichever, down channel and up channel.
Yeah. Thanks, Shiladitya, for bringing out the different categories of channel partners, because that is a question we had from 2.7, and you just answered that, which is what are the categories of channel partners to explore for a SaaS business apart from system integrators.
Yeah.
And you talked about technology partners, right? And that's something which is very close to my heart as head of the NetApp Accelerator program. That's one thing that we try to do through this program, find startups who we can partner with at a technology level. Great. Right. So we talked about when do you start thinking about it, how do you set up one? We have a question from Parag Mulye, and it is about developing the partner. Very interesting. Is it better to develop your partner rather than going through an established one? And he also has a point of view on that, because mostly established partners don't think out of the box. I don't know, you might want to contend that because they think they know everything. So what has your experience been? Because it's great, right? As a startup grows, do we grow our partner with us, or do we go with an established one? And the pros and cons of both.
We take multi-pronged approach. I don't think there's one single bullet, right? So we, in fact, I have very specific examples where even currently we are growing with few very, very small partners who have become core part of our business, right? We have built them from concept stage as they were just getting funded all the way. In fact, to the point that my partnership has gone to even take a stake in the company, right? So we even take a stake in a partner, and I won't name the partner, but essentially it's become so core to our customers and to our platform, right? So we do work with I forget the name, the person who asked the question. We work with really, really interesting new out-of-the-box thinking partners and integrate them into our platform, even to the point of making our relationship so intimate by taking a stake in the company. And also working with very large partners. So for example, even sometimes our competitors, in our case, we even work with our competitors. So we take their content sets into ours, because ultimately we want the customer to choose and stick them to our platform. because in terms of our company's revenue, 95% of our revenue is based on subscription, right? So which means every month it's just coming in. So one of the core strategies for us is one of the two core strategy. One is of course growing or acquiring new customers. The other very important piece is retention, right? We don't want anybody to cancel our subscription. So in order to do that, sometimes I look for partners who can bring some very stickable solution, in which case the customer cannot cancel because they find this kind of a functionality which is very unique. And that fits in with what I think Raghav who had asked the question, right? It fits in exactly with that, right? I bring this functionality. I not only grow my business, but I also help my business not getting cancellations from the customer.
Yeah.
Let's stop that.
Completely agree. Exactly the two focus areas any company should have, right? Growing your business, but also retaining your business. Very important for especially SaaS and subscription sort of businesses, but even long term for any sort of for channels, especially, right? The whole point of having a channel is they are a representation of you. They are a representation of you in front of the customer. And when I say, just to add to the question of how do you choose, small or big, I think you choose based on what the customer wants. You based on what your end customer wants, because they are the one buying. And if they say, hey, I love this small company, they have done amazing things for me, please work with them, you work with them. And that's what it is. In fact, and again, as a growing SaaS company, I actually identify with that, right? We identify with people who are like us, who adapt fast, build fast, and work strategically, versus a much more established channel partner who sort of comes with their own compliances and certain levels of certification and a whole bunch of other red tape for you to become a partner. Not that I'm saying you shouldn't do it. Depends on, again, who your customer is. If I have to work with, let's say, a bank or fintech or someone who's very regulated and they have only regulated partners they work with, like the top 4 of the world, I have to enroll myself into that stream. So it's all about who your customer wants. I think that's the summary of what I would say.
Right. So both of you talked about, retaining customers. Let's talk a little bit about retaining your partners. And we have a question from Amit Kumar Singh. How do you share stake among partners, right? Because end of the day, everybody is doing a business. So how do you share that? Any thoughts about, revenue share? How should it be? Any levels, any insights?
So channel conflict is what you're asking, right? Essentially, if you have partners jumping and into the same segment or into the same market or into the same solution area, then if you have too many of them, there is a channel conflict, right? And what I would say is you have to be careful even in your selection process, right? And we do have various categories of partners. In our case, we have something called a co-sell partner, somebody where we appoint them as our reseller. In some cases, we take their solution and we resell it. We call it Refinitiv reseller. And sometimes we co-create, build stuff with them, right? So again, based on those, we kind of say, look, let's not have too many crowded partnerships in different segments. So first thing, you would do quite a bit of planning inside your organization. And second is, of course, working with the partners. You have to communicate with the partners very, very clearly every quarter, if not at least once a year, depending on even the non-strategic partners, right? You have to tell them, this is going to be my strategy. This is where I think you can play. You can even co-develop business plans with them, especially if they're strategic partners, and then identify and have a very formal process of registering even an opportunity with you, right? You can say, for this customer, for this solution, please register with me that you are, and again, you can question at that point, why do I need to work with you versus the other, right? And similarly, they can also work with you or with your competitor. Some of my partners do work with some of my biggest competitors, and it's fine, right? Today, we need to exist in a manner where it's a competition model, right? Sometimes you partner, sometimes you compete. And that's managed honestly. It takes diligence and very formal processes to do that, right? And as long as you're transparent as much as possible and don't sidetrack them or go behind their back and lose the trust. Trust is the key principle, right? And how do you establish trust is by making your processes or selection criteria and others as transparent as possible and communicate that. Even if you make a mistake sometimes, you communicate, you say, look, I did mess up. Hopefully I'll compensate in some other manner, right? So I think that's the fundamental principle.
Yeah. Obviously you have to have the right process and transparency when you build out your channels, right? I mean, without that, like Shiv said, you will always run into some mistakes or you'll always step on someone's toes or the other when you're trying to do something. So absolutely key to have your transparency and a well-defined process, which all partners understand. But just to understand, I think how you share stake among partners, the earlier question, right? I don't know if it referred to the fact that would you over invest in a partner for a strategic reason, or would you do some sort of different partnership like revenue sharing, what you mentioned, Madhurima? Those are again business calls which you have to take, just like you take up choosing to work with a certain customer, right? I choose to work with a certain, let's say I have an opportunity to work with a very large customer because of it's a large deal, it's a strategic deal, it's a good logo. I do special things as for that customer in my product, in the way I offer my services. Similarly, you have to choose to do special things for a partner on the same lines. I mean, if you're choosing to invest and take up equity in a partner, that's because you are thinking of them in a much longer term. I mean, or if you're thinking of them as essential to your growth. If you think so, it's your business. Obviously, you have to take that call, and you may have to give up something in that respect as well. You might have to say, okay, for this region, you are exclusive to me, or I'll not do direct sales in the region, obviously, or I'll not work with anyone else, obviously. So you either be 100% transparent and platform and process oriented, or if you do strategic something, you call it out, and then of course it's your call to do rev share or to do anything else. And they're all acceptable models, I believe. It really depends on what your business is geared up for.
Yeah, Shiv, you want to add?
Yeah, and the other thing with all this planning, let me be honest, we go and acquire, many times we go and acquire a company, right? Even yesterday we had an acquisition. That puts all your plan completely gone, right? Because the acquisition definitely, that what company sometimes we acquire might disrupt the partnership that you built, right? Because it may be directly competing with the bunch of partners in one region or the other, or sometimes globally, right? Again, how do you deal with that? Again, be very transparent, because the acquisition will be known. I rather send communication to those partners to say, this is what has happened. We are absolutely open to, even if you need to break the partnership, we are going to take the terms out, like, you need to serve notice, whatever, right? All that piece, we can work with you. But again, if you're still willing to work with us, we are keen, right? So again, there's no magic bullet, but as much as possible, if you can formalize, and as much as possible, be transparent and proactively communicating with the partners, it helps.
Right. And I think, this kind of answers the questions that Sabarish had about, should you have a controlling stake in your channel? It touches upon the question that Sangeeta had asked about, what is the recommended win-win model for channel partner? We had multiple questions from, other folks around, how do you sustain this relationship? And thank you so much, Shiv and Shiladitya, for, addressing those. Great insights. We have much more, many more questions coming in, and I would strongly urge all the participants to, be on Discord channel, where, we'll have these questions discussed in the community. Shiv and Shiladitya, if you want to take 30 seconds to, just share your top advice to the audience with respect to this partner network. Shiv, you want to go first?
Sure. I would say think carefully and then have a clear roadmap and strategy, and also think about, there's no single solution, right? So you need to think about each. It is a big commitment. It is a big commitment from your end, and it's a big commitment from your partner's end. Especially when you start out, be very careful about where you want to start and where you want to partner, where you want to go direct. I think it needs to be controlled by you. And the second is, of course, being very transparent with your partner. They need to be really partner, right? They can't be just, I use them, you use. Yes, you have to be very, very transparent on both ends. So selecting, put some time into how you select partners, what kind of business model you want to have with that partner, and continuously evaluate and continuously communicate. That's probably what I would stop here.
Yeah, I will absolutely agree with what Shiv said. Very important to have your own strategy, and no, like I said earlier, if you think it's the right time for channel, if it's for your business, for your product, and if it's the right time, and you can go out and you can control the reason why you're even creating a channel or choosing a partner or expanding to a region, as long as you are confident on that. I mean, all of us make annual plans, right? We all made annual plans this January, which had to change in March. So you make an annual plan, and you hope that you can stick to it as well, obviously. But when you commit to that plan for yourself and for your partner, make sure you're continuously measuring, like Shiv also said. You have to measure the efficacy of your channel every quarter, if not more often, especially if you're starting out, because you can choose that I'll expand to a region, I sign up a partner, they get signed up. It's 6 months, nothing has happened. If you don't get results from a channel or from a partner, you have to reevaluate that relationship as early as possible, because you may make mistakes and you may have to change strategy midterm. So that continuous measurement is as important as you do with your own internal business. You should do the same with your channel as well. I think it's no different, because it's an extension of your own business. So that's the top advice I would say when you're going out there.
Great. Thank you, Shiv and Shiladitya. Absolutely insightful decision. I'm sure the audience benefited. And thank you once again for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Madhurima. Thank you. Thank you
for having me.
Madhurima, that was a terrific session, and I'm sure that both the gentlemen, Shiv and Shiladitya, have added so much of content and so much of value that this recording is going to be a very, very useful piece of content for a long, long time to come in partnership discussions. Thank you again, guys. Really loved it. There is another poll that we have for you guys. So, KD, can we have the poll, please? Can you run the poll, Kuldeep? Thank you. Just wanted to understand the account management responsibilities so that we can plan some things on that. And as we do the poll, I do want to bring up the next session. A lot of you had indicated that you're not using CRMs right now because you didn't understand the value proposition of the CRMs. Nearly 40% people said that they're using Excel. And then we did ask saying, would it help if we organize a special session on CRMs? We got one of the experts, Aman Chakral, whose company is an expert at integrating CRMs with your other applications. And Aman will help us today. But before we get there, we did announce last time that on Discord, we will start looking at the engagement and we'll start recognizing people who are really contributing to the community. So can we have the results of the poll, please? Okay, so relationship manager seems to be the best bet, and all of the above is not bad as well. Thank you so much. So before we go to Aman, can we see the awardees for this week in basis the contribution that people have made on Discord. So a big shout out to Harish Kamath, goes by the ID Dirty Harry. I don't know why you call yourself Dirty Harish, but thank you so much for your regular contributions and wisdom that you share on the panel. And same goes for Jairam Ramchandran, who's got the RM Chandran kind of handle. Both of you guys have been so active. Thank you so much. And to recognize your contribution, we've got Apurva's book called Master Growth Hacking, all about lead generation, I suppose, which a signed copy of that we will get you across very soon. For all the others, please continue discussions on Discord and look forward to getting your own name next time at the session. There's one more gentleman I want to recognize. We don't have a picture on him, but Radha, kind of made a video, a 10-minute video on how to use a CRM based on his own workflows. He's Radha Narayan Rao from Devikar. We will post a link to his video so everybody can go and see that video. And with that, let me bring in Aman Takral. Aman, can you introduce yourself and then we'll go into why we got you here.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Arvind ji, for having me. Thank you so much, Shiv and Shalitya. Thank you so much. I was there in the entire session. And I really liked the way when we spoke about channel business. Interestingly, Target Integration is a CRM and ERP implementer, and we work with brands like Zoho, Salesforce, vTiger, Lead Squad, and so many. And in our case, also the channel business relationship comes up in very much picture. Whereas the table is turned. I'm one of the channel of theirs where I develop business, and it's very interesting to hear your input, Shiv and Shalitya, from the point of a product company. It's interesting. It has I have a different opinion in certain cases. Great. I would surely like to connect off the session and let's discuss this further. And on the other side, thank you so much, Arvind, for having me. It's indeed a pleasure.
Thank you. So let's get started in terms of showing people why a CRM could be really useful to their business. The top feedback was people don't understand how exactly they can use a CRM for their businesses. So can you, through a demo maybe, and I know you are going to demo vTiger maybe most likely, but can you explain in some detail how and why people should think of planning a CRM?
Okay, so let me give you a little background about what is CRM and how does it work and what is Target Integration in this case. And then we'll move towards the demo. Would that work?
Sure. Right.
Perfect. All right, let me share my screen. Let me know once you can see it.
We are good.
Perfect. So, to small background, the company that I represent, Target Integration, we guys are a 12-year-old organization which is spread out of 5 countries: Ireland, UK, Greece, India, and United States. Where in India, we are spread out of Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, and we cater to almost every metro and tier 2 city that you'll see around those metro areas. We are majorly a CRM and ERP implementer. So we work in tangent with the companies to make sure that the entire business process they have can be divided into various modules and segments, which eventually can create a business automation tool for you, which can come out of either of the CRM and ERP tools. And we very strongly recommend and promote cloud technologies. And of course, today, with the help of COVID, we can see why cloud technologies are most favored and loved across the board. How do we do that? We guys do a lot of consultative analysis. We work across the companies. We understand what's their background, how do they work, what is their current structure, process, and then we go ahead and start customizing that process in the system. One of the questions that Arvindji just asked, why do business need a CRM software? Now, see, very interestingly, these CRM softwares are the tools which are important for you to gather the information. And I'm sure Shiv and others would agree that it's very crucial for you to cater and capture the information of your customer. This not only helps you to know from where your sales coming from, but this can build your entire sales strategy, such as demographics, geographics, persona of your customer. Everything will come out of when you start tracking this information through a CRM software to an ERP. So now, whichever that could be, but this will be your first point of contact, your primary data connectivity where you can get all this information. So a CRM tool can easily manage your sales, customer interaction, lead management, task performance, and so on and so forth. Some of the products, as I mentioned, we work with CloudYogi, Zoho, Odoo, Zendesk, vTiger, Salesforce, Repli, and others. a little introduction that I would like to mention. We also have vTiger team as part of this call. So vTiger got founded in 2004, one of the very early CRM company who got into business. They also started their operation as an open source CRM provider, but they very lately moved into the cloud services. They currently help almost 3 lakh plus businesses to create great customer experience. If I tell you, it's the current 8th version of their software which is running in the market, and they've been very loved across the industries. I've seen a lot of great companies, bigger companies, smaller companies working for them, which builds the entire 360 view for the customer. So you don't have to hop in between multiple tools to look at what kind of reports or any kind of analysis. It's a 360 view which they promote on their website and on their talks, is that from one click you can see the entire customer's journey. The product that they have sales CRM, they have ticketing, which is post-sale service requirements. They also help in marketing, where you can have chatbots, where you can have a bulk emailing tool, social media interaction, everything. And this eventually becomes as vTiger One. So what do we do for vTiger? As partners, as their India of channel network handlers, we take care of their entire trainings, any auditing processes that you would need. If you need any migration from an existing system, be it in-house, on-premise to vTiger, we can always help that. If you want any support, we are there to provide you on-premises, cloud, any kind of support that you're looking for. We also have consultants who sit down, be at your premises, talk to various business heads, take the requirement and create the architecture. And we also provide resources at premises if required. Let me quickly take you to demo. Any questions, Arvind, team, before I go there?
Yes, as you think about the demo, Aman, and thanks for that intro. One big question and one big data point that came through was people are worried about the cost of data entry, the time and effort it takes to put data entry into a system. And then if you don't have data, then how do you use a CRM? So a big reason for not using a CRM is it just takes too much pain to put data inside. How do you handle that? What kind of automation is already built in?
See, it's a very genuine question. That's one of the reasons a lot of startups, a lot of initial company owners have a concern about. See, the best approach here is to have a solution which is integrated. Okay, it is integrated with your Gmail. For example, the most commonly used email platform, if I look at our Gmail, Office 365, if you look at those two tools, a good product has to have and should have and must have a plugin which can sync your data between your email as well as your phone book. Now, very recently, I interacted with one of the entrepreneur, and he said, you know, forget entering in data in my CRM. I often see a challenge that entire my phone book is filled up with data, but I do not know whom to call, what to manage. I said, great. Have your phone book been integrated with your Gmail account so that the entire data of your phone book goes into Gmail account, and from Gmail account, you can sync it with your CRM. And there you go. You got your entire phone book ready, which is all completely synced. If your emails are synced, against each contact, you can see all the emails. There you go. If you are using the mobile app, all the calls that you do is also automatically inserted. So you don't have to really go and manually enter the data. And this will fill up your entire work.
So you're saying that integrate your email, integrate your contacts, and integrate the phone app, and then all the data will be in one place. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Still, if you think there are places such as IndiaMart, such as websites, such as your mobile phone applications, all these tools have API possibility. You just need to plug in those APIs and data is inside you.
Perfect. Can you just show us that so that people can see that it really works, that we're just not talking about?
Perfect. So if we quickly go, I'll open my website. Doesn't matter. Hope you guys can see my screen. Do you?
No, you'll have to share that. Please stop sharing.
Okay. Let me quickly share. you look at this website that we have, this is our own website. Each contact space that we have is integrated. So if I fill up my name, my phone number, my address here, this will automatically be submitted to my CRM. Just quickly refresh. Now I have to find bicycles. Sometimes security, huh? Okay. Let me pick up some other form. For example, a callback form. Now, entire website of ours has been integrated with the tool so that you don't have to really worry. You don't have to take care of any data which is being missed or any data which is going to your email ID. Let me just check buses. Okay. And now if you see this, data will come into my lead module. So that's how the entire data of various lead modules will come here. Now, very interestingly, if you look at this whole email IDs as well as, there you go, this is my data, right? The one that I filled on my website. Now, Arvind, interestingly, if you look at this lead that I filled up, I can now even sync my emails. So the email that I sent automatically when somebody registered to my website is an email. No manual intervention. There's no physical work that I did to get this data inside in my CRM. And rest of the leads coming from my contact bases as well. Does it answer your question, Arvind?
Yes. Does it also happen with the calls? You said that, can you show us that the calls are also logged in here?
Okay. So if I go quickly on activities, for that, you need to have a mobile app as well. But let me just quickly show you something. If you look at this activity section, we have this add events where you have types. Now I can either manually make it or I can use my mobile phone device. So I have to log in from my mobile phone device. So, but if you have vTiger's mobile app, you can quickly go into the lead section. There'll be a button to call for the lead, and this will automatically log the call here. Let me just quickly see if I can get it.
And while you are showing vTiger, you are saying that this feature is pretty much standard in almost all the CRMs, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm of course vouching for the tools which are globally acclaimed and which are very much available in the market, right? Of course, I'm not referring to a homegrown tool. So I'm talking about the tools that we work with. So all the top 10 tools that you would see in market, such as Salesforce, vTiger, Microsoft Dynamics, Lead Squad, Odoo, they will have these features available for you.
Okay. So one thing that you've shown and talked about is that the entire contact management, customer management can be done through an integrated solution. Can you also show us the account management piece? So once they have data on this, one big advantage over Excel would be the ability to do account management, account planning.
Okay, and you are referring to the individual accounts that we have, correct?
Yes, the customer accounts and the individual people and the engagement with our team and their team, for example.
Perfect. For example, if you look at this tool, we have a tool called as organization. Now, this tool helps you to track the entire set of customers. For example, I have one customer here called as TI. You can see the entire set of people who work for TI. We have renamed this to students, for example, if you're a college. So now, very interestingly, all these modules that you see, they can be renamed, they can be changed their category. You can have these customized fields depending upon what you're looking for. So from here on, you can enter any other person who's working for this customer. So another person has been added. If I send any quotations against this customer or against this account of mine, I can see that. I can also automatically send this quotation via an email. Just quickly go here. Either I can export, import, whatever that I want to do, I can do it from here. Or I can actually send this as an email. This will pop up in small email. Again, the mail server which will be used would be yours, so that for the customer, it's not coming from a CRM, but coming from your email account.
Aman, do you know, there's a question on the forum from Arav saying, can CRM be linked with a LinkedIn chat or other social media as well? Is there a way to get that conversation into the CRM as well?
Absolutely. Depending upon which CRM that you're opting for, Arav, every CRM has a different way of connecting. But to give you an idea, there is a possibility with all the top CRMs for you to integrate your social media channels. Microsoft Dynamics has Sales Navigator, which can integrate you with LinkedIn, whereas with vTiger, you can use Zapier to integrate with your social media channels.
Perfect. Do you have a demo where you can show that with vTiger?
It will take me time to build that one. Let me see, because it has to have a little social media integration. I won't be able to show you, but at the end of this session, I'll give you my email ID. You can drop me an email and we can create a customized demo for you, and depending upon what you're looking for. And then you can always capture all the information.
Sure, go ahead. In our last session, we saw some sales organization hierarchies being done. So do typically CRM show you what the organization hierarchy is? If you have multiple people with you, can you kind of see all their roles and all their personas? And does the CRM give you some insights, or you have to dig around and find out all the information yourself?
See, there are two parts to this answer. CRMs, of course, come with the possibility where you can set up the entire process, roles and profiles, but you first have to clean those roles and profiles in your organization so that you know, okay, I have 3 layers of organization where A person cannot see B person's data and B person cannot see C person's data. However, managers can see everything. And then you can always go and set up roles and profiles. For example, here, under the organization target, I have 2 roles. One is business head and one is CEO. Now I can go and build more roles against this as well. For example, I create a role called VP Sales, where I can see set up various kind of access levels, such as can he assign records, can he not? What are the privileges which are given? Is the all data for the group is available or not? Each module level privilege that I want to provide, and click on save. There you can see the entire hierarchy has been built. We have VP sales, now we have VP, then we have marketing managers, sales managers, customer service guys, customer support. You can customize it, build it, click on each one and edit their values as well. It's all about how clean process that you have, and then you can always replicate that process in the CRM.
Okay. A question from an audience saying, can it be integrated with G Suite? I suppose the answer is yes.
Yes.
How does vTiger compare to HubSpot? We are not really doing product comparisons. I suppose both of them can do the job for you. How is Zoho? Again, not doing rating of products. Zoho also is a good CRM.
The answer is, to every answer on comparison, I would say it all depends about what you're looking for. vTiger, HubSpot, Zoho, Salesforce, they all have wonderful tools, very well recognized, very well used. But it's all about what are your expectations, what are your objectives from the CRM. Do you want a lead automation? Do you want a workflow automation? Do you have strategy which is very focused towards social media? Do you have a strategy which is very focused about any kind of approval and role level work? So that's why the role of people like us or target integration come into picture. Our job is to sit down, understand your problem, and suggest you the right software.
Perfect. So once we looked at the hierarchy, I suppose, does it have some kind of trigger or signals where we can see what has happened in my hierarchy? You know, if some interesting event has happened, somebody has changed a job, they have announced a new project, so that I can go and initiate a sales conversation?
So we have something here which is called as the notification bar. Now what this entire thing does, let me just quickly set up for you. If you look at this 427 notifications, they give me the entire, okay, thank you. Just give me the entire notification view. I can see what each person is doing. There was a call done, there was a meeting got scheduled, there's an activity. So the entire organization, no matter how many users that I have, what each user and what each person is doing, I can track it from here. If I want to snooze them, so this is my user, Ashish Tiwari. I can see 5 months ago, he has registered a lead called Aman Chakral, what all work he has done. If I want to snooze it or a follow-up, I can do it from here. Arvind, does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. I was hoping more about external triggers that can be brought into the.
If you're looking for an external trigger, we do have something called as workflows. So if you look at these workflows here, I can very smartly set up a workflow depending upon a behavior that I have inserted about a customer. For example, let's say sales signal. We go and shut this out. For example, this is my sales signal and I want to trigger an email as soon as my sales won is being done. So let me just quickly write sales won email to be sent to CEO. I can put up a condition. Yes, amount is, let's say I want to put amount which is more than 5 lakh only, then I should be notified, otherwise let the company work accordingly. So if we go enter the amount, then I add another conditions. Always sales stage. Let's close one. Now these stages of course can be customized depending upon what you're looking for, but by and large, these are the usual sales stage which is used. Now here, I can quickly go send an email. Now this email can have a title, send email for the sales won above 5 lakh. Now from I'm sending it to, whom I want this email. So when it goes from to a particular person, whom it should like to reply, I can choose that. I can choose to. So here I can choose either my customer or I can choose myself or anybody that I want. For example, user. Thank you for working with us.
Got it. So you can set up actions and triggers.
And then you have email body and just click on save and this will work.
Can you also quickly show us, as we are wrapping up time, how people can do sales revenue forecast planning with a CRM? How does that help? How does that work?
See, very interestingly, when you talk about the sales revenue forecasting, it's very important first to have right targets. And then accordingly, you can go here and set up your March voice revenues. So here you can set up the quota, your target amount. Let me quickly go in settings. For the entire organization, how much revenue that you're expecting, quarterly or monthly. Will you consider what kind of sales stage? All the categories here would be used. And then you can have the data which talks about how much was the target, how much you closed on, and how much is still in pipeline. Everything according to the month-wise expectations. Does it help, Arvind?
Yeah, but I was looking for if you had a case where this was all filled out and people could quickly see how.
Sure, we can always do that. I thought we are rushing out of time, so you wanted me to quickly do it. We just quickly do it for you.
There's a filled out example that people can quickly relate to that might help better.
Okay. So let me just quickly do. Let me just put up number of periods that I want to see this whole sales forecasting for, which I want to include. Let me start with 2019. Number of periods. I can have it for a quarter, half yearly, 8 months, 12 months, 18 months. Which all personas I will include. We go here. Now let me set up a forecasting for myself. Go to an opportunity. Quickly customize the opportunity and win it.
That's okay. I mean, it'll take a long data entry. Will take a long time. Yeah, but I think let's quickly focus on the top value propositions of why people should go for CRMs other than Excel. So in Excel, you're doing all the heavy lifting yourself. You can't even do search, good search if your Excel sheet becomes very large. And if you've got shared Excel, then there's a very, very high chance that you have no auditing on this at all. Okay. So CRMs today, modern CRMs are a must have if you're looking at collaborative remote selling. As your team is remote and distributed, if you don't have a tool, then you are really fish out of the water in a sense. And if you have a CRM and you're using it only for account contact planning, you're only using 10-15% of the capabilities. So do look at all these product integrations that modern CRMs have with emails, with call systems, with social systems, with other API based integrations with Zapier and stuff like that, and see how you can build a MarTech engine pretty much. So we talked about lead nurturing, we talked about lead generation. Having a CRM can be a powerful asset to optimize on both of those ends. Aman, thank you so much for helping us today and showing us a small brief glimpse into what a CRM can do. I'm sure you have a lot of expertise in this area, and people can definitely reach out to you if they need your help as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arvind. And we are always available on our social media channels. You can look for targetintegration.com or hash for targetint, and we'll always be there for you to help.
Thank you. Thank you for agreeing to do this at a really, really short notice. Really.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Let's come back and let's look at where we are on our agenda. So we've done now 4 episodes of this B2B Sales Academy. As I said earlier, this is a completely unique initiative from TiE Bangalore and TiE Delhi. There's a big team working behind it. Maybe it's a good time to kind of just look at the things that are coming up next time along. So yeah, so we want to talk about sales team management at our next episode. Okay, and we have again a stellar panel. The managing director of QLic, Sugandhi Shivkumar, senior director from Google, Anil Valuri, and Parag, who's the SVP client servicing at IndiaMart. And we really want to go into some of the specific things around compensation, commission structures, motivating the sales team, quota management during COVID times, challenges on quota management when people don't pay or ask for a little furlough, under COVID times. So please do join us at that time. Hopefully it will be a really productive session for you guys as well. And with that, let me bring in my co-host Ravi, who will then lead us through the rest of the 10 minutes that we have. Ravi?
Thank you, Arvind. That was a great session. I think we have a lot to consume and a lot to work through. Just as a recap, right? I want to make sure that there are lots of questions, a lot of people on the discussion asking for things. So first and foremost, I would like to thank our sponsors, Sequoia, which is the series sponsor, and NetApp Accelerator, which is today's episode sponsor. And why is this important? Couple of things that I think all of you, we have over 200 people. Please realize that the sponsorship has allowed us to make this open for you. And in doing so, I would urge you not just to be in yourselves, get your teams, get your colleagues, use this as a working session. And that's the reason why we have designed it in a certain way. So if you look at the full curriculum, we started off with things like the overview, talked about lead generation. We have gone through lead nurturing to closure. And today's episode was all about account management, partner sales, channel management, etc. So in some ways, you're getting the equivalent of a quick MBA of sorts on B2B sales by participating. So use this extensively. Get your people to come on, get your teams to come in. And I believe the 2 hours that you devote every week is not just going to help you, help your team, but also get all of you together onto the same page, right? So this is a shout out to people who have been on Discord. And I've been asked why Discord, why not WhatsApp group and a few other things. WhatsApp group, obviously a lot of chatter. And beyond 256, we have some constraints and restrictions. But more importantly, one of the key pieces that when we discussed, Arvind and I and the TIE teams discussed, that clearly the intention was to create a live community that starts to share and work through. So it's almost like every one of these episodes, a series of episodes, the season of episodes is going to leave a set of people who will interact, who will support each other and create a community as we are going along. And the B2B sales community is hopefully the first one that you'll all be part of. And with 500 odd people, I believe this, or at least I have the fond hope that this will turn out to be a great community for us to work through as we go along. So that was onto Discord. One other piece why we really want all of you to use Discord is Discord means that you don't have to share your phone numbers. So we looked at a few other options, and then we realized that because of the way it is structured and because of confidentiality reasons, we did not want to share a lot of the information that is going out. So in some ways today you heard people like Shiv talk about some numbers that are usually never shared outside in public, right? Even if they do, they have to get an okay from their corporate headquarters to start talking through this. So I would urge all of you to leverage this to the best of your ability, get your teams in, participate, and make maximum utilization of the structure. And the structure has always been the same. We'll consistently do this. There's the 30,000 feet view, which is the leader's lens. Then there is a deep discussion with Q&A, which is our panel discussions. And then we actually take a live case and have somebody simulate and work through. If there is anything else that you think you want us to cover as part of this particular structures, please do send out the note. And as Arvind said, this whole section on CRM was introduced only because we were surprised at the number of people who had the lack of a CRM tool usage. And I know that there were in the poll results, there were two points that were covered. One was the cost of a CRM. Listen, if you're serious about this, I have done multiple CRMs. It costs anywhere between 600 rupees per user per month. You even get free versions on some of them where you can do contact management. You can do one kind of sales channel. So if it's just a single sales channel, it's a single sales team, X number of people, even HubSpot, I believe, does up to 1 million contacts that you can do for free. However, having said that, you are investing between 600 to roughly about 2,000 rupees per user per month on a tool that is going to make you more disciplined, that is going to allow for greater relationship build, that is also going to make you more organized as you grow. So I would urge all of you to think through that piece, because as I keep saying, sales is a lot about discipline, and sales discipline is something that everybody will talk about. So before we wrap up, I think we have a few pieces. If there are any other common questions that we want to go through and work through, if some of us can address it, it'll be good. But other than that, I would like to thank Madhurima, not just as for anchoring this particular structure, but also coming in as a sponsor with the NetApp Accelerator. So Madhurima, good to see you on.
Thanks, Ravi.
I think it is a great job, and I think
Ravi, we need to show the NetApp video. So this is a good time to kind of show the NetApp video and thank them by showing the video for the generous sponsorship. Tulika, can we have that video, please?
Fantastic. Sorry, Arvind, can we put up the next season piece? And I think there's a poll question, right, Arvind? We have to cover up a poll question. Is there one more left?
I think we asked all the questions.
Okay. I kind of thought. Okay, so can we just put up the slide for the next section of what we are going to put up, and then I'd like all the people who are helping this put together come online with your faces. If you can turn on your videos, and like to give a shout out to all of the participants. So the panel members. We have Geetika, who's kind of helped put all of this together. Madhurima, you have seen her work through. Ruchita, who's been the force behind this of making all of us stick to our goals and commitments. Vijeta, we have Tulika, we have the whole team. Kuldeep, yes, Kuldeep, who's managing all our polls and making sure all of this works together. So with that, we are coming to the end. Any final pieces, I will hand it over, but would like to have all of you come back in for the next session. That's a week from now, Thursday, with Suganti Shivkumar, Managing Director of Click, Anil Valluri, Senior Director of Google, and Parag Agarwal with Client Servicing, SVP. And that's all about how do you manage your sales team. With that, I think you're on. Ruchita, you had something to say?
Thank you. No, I just wanted to thank you, Ravindra and Arvind and Madhurima particularly, because you guys have been at it for the last few weeks, and we've got another few to go. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, guys.
See you all on 15th at 10 a.m. next week.
And continue on Discord, and you'll get those 2 books out. We'll figure out how to get it out to you, the 2 winners. Thank you very much.
Thank you.